Know the difference with Annex Wealth Management, joined by Tom Parks, Director of Retirement Plan Services, Annex Wealth Management. Hello, Tom.
Hello, Danny.
I got to apologize at the start of this segment. You and I were discussing Retirement Plan Services Department at Annex, and I just guessed the number of clients that you and the team handle. It was far lower than you and the team actually handled. Sorry about that.
Danny, I take that as a compliment. I figure that means we're doing well with the resources we have, so thank you.
You know, it makes sense. You guys have a department that's well-staffed, and that's how you provide that client service that you do.
We talk about team all the time in Annex, and that's true. I have a great team on the 401k side, but we also work with the investment committee and the other wealth managers. So it truly is a team effort, and we're fortunate to have the people we do.
I thought it might be helpful to paint the picture as to the types of companies that we provide services for, and it is a wide range. So maybe there's a company owner or a CFO, an HR professional, or a small business leader listening that will hear a company like theirs and decide that Annex Wealth Management and the Retirement Plan Services would be a great tool in attracting and retaining talent, because that's a big deal.
It is for sure, regardless of the size of your company. So you're spot on here.
Here's another mistake I made. You said we've got a client that's a startup, and I'm like, oh, that's great, like a business in a garage kind of a startup, like the early Harley Davidson or Hewlett Packard, but no.
Here's where you get into 401k vernacular, and when we talk about startup plans, we're talking about the plan starting up. So yes, there are startup companies. Sometimes they will also start up a 401k plan at the time they're starting the company, but very rarely does that happen. Really, when we're looking at startups, we're talking about companies that have been around for a while. They finally got their feet under them, starting to accumulate some employees, and they want to start offering benefits. So the plan is something that they are starting up after having had their business go for a while.
How do we structure that in the early days?
It's interesting, Danny. The Secure legislation and then Secure 2.0 really changed the way that startup plans operate. The purpose of those legislation, well, an element of that legislation, the purpose was to encourage more employers to start 401k plans to offer this benefit. So there are actually a lot of tax incentives and other financial incentives for smaller companies to start 401k plans. Education is what it's all about, Danny, because those people very involved in their business. They got a lot more important things to worry about than this. So we really act as a guide in helping them understand what they need to do, what they can do, and how to make it all happen.
Good for the companies, ultimately good for the employees. Let's jump up to a medium-sized company. With Annex Wealth Management and the Retirement Plan Services world, what constitutes a medium-sized company?
I love that you're asking this question, Danny, because when we look in our industry and people talk about this, they always focus on the asset size of the plan. And for us, the total assets of a plan are really not relevant. What's relevant is the employees. How many of them are there? Where are they located? Sure. You know, do you have 15 locations or do you only have the one? For us, a medium-sized company is somewhere in the 75 to 150-ish range. And that's what we look at. That's kind of our core group. We have more clients in that space than anyone.
With more employees, does that expand the breadth of services?
The breadth of services itself does not expand. It's really just a question of how do we deliver those across the employee population. If there are multiple locations, obviously that adds a dynamic than if there's only one. The other question is, what do our clients want from us? We offer a lot of stuff, Danny, as you know. A lot of it is figuring out which combination of the services we offer is going to be right for the particular employee base.
With Tom Parks, Director of Retirement Plan Services, Annex Wealth Management. So we work with companies at the startup level, medium-sized companies, large companies as well. Without naming names, how do you describe those large companies, and how do we do that?
When we look at large companies, I think in terms of companies that have the resources inside the company itself. So they'll have a full-fledged benefits department. There's going to be somebody at the company who really understands benefits overall, 401ks in particular. You're going to see investment committees, things like that. Just the manner in which we interact with those is different because they have resources that smaller and medium-sized companies don't have as much. So just we don't spend as much time on education and perspective because they already have that based on their experience. We really get into more of the specifics of how we're going to deliver our services both to them as a committee and to their employees.
Yeah. So big or small, our goal is the same high-level service for a client that attracts and retains great employees, because that's what we're after.
It is, Danny. The employees, the participants, as we call them in our 401k speak, are really what the plan is all about. What we want to do is help our clients structure a plan that is going to help their employees maximize the benefit, and then work with their team to help them take greatest advantage of that through technology, through one-on-one meetings. We do all of those things. Like I said before, it depends on from one client to the next, whether they prefer mostly in person, mostly online, some combination of the two. The nice thing about working at Annex is we can customize things for whatever our clients want. It's a lot of fun.
You shared the following stats with me. I was blown away. 87% of employees feel retirement benefits are an important consideration when deciding to stay with an employer. 75% of employees believe an employer has a great deal of responsibility to help them save for retirement. If you need to build up a retirement plan service, maybe you want a second look at what you got. What's the best way to get a hold of you?
I recommend people check me out on LinkedIn. Always look at our YouTube channel to get a feel for how we communicate with people. Otherwise, check out annexwealth.com and get a hold of us.
Tom Parks, Director of Retirement Plan Services, Annex Wealth Management. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Danny.